In breaking news, the US Federal Reserve has bailed out the Silicon Valley Bank, which had collapsed over the weekend. The Fed also announced another US bank has closed, New York's Signature Bank, a crypto-related funder. I'm joined now by Ross Greenwood. Ross, seems a flurry of activity in the last half hour. What's happened?
It sure has been since we last went to air explaining the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank, SVB as it's known, and indeed many Australian companies that have been caught up in this. There has been a joint statement just in the last few minutes made by the Department of Treasury, which is Janet Yellen, also from the Board of Governors, from the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, and then the bank regulator, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. In it, it says that depositors in SVB will have access to all of their money starting Monday, March 13. In other words, when business opens on Monday, US time. No losses associated with the resolution of Silicon Valley Bank will be borne by the taxpayer. Now, just to explain this, it goes on and then explains that there's a second bank whose operations were suspended by the US state of New York on Sunday, has also been caught up in this. This is Signature Bank. They're announcing a similar system for that business as well. So all depositors in this institution will be made whole. That will be welcome relief to many technology-based companies that had money deposited in SVB, and indeed many people who were trying to do crypto transactions in Signature Bank. And this is an attempt by the regulators to try and, if you like, stem any sort of contagion effect into other banks and other organisations as a result of the run on SVB Bank late last week. Now, just to explain what takes place here is that the federal regulator has basically taken over SVB Bank. It now is in full control and will seek a buyer for that bank. But in the meantime, there was previously, as there is in Australia, a maximum $250,000 in deposits that was insured. Anything above that was clearly not going to be able to be met by the bank or the regulators until this statement. Now the US government says it will wear the lot, Laura. So there is a change that is designed quite clearly to, if you like, create some calm around this situation.
Right, so was the US Fed worried that there could have been some contagion here? Is this other crypto-related bank, is it related to this? And does this mean that essentially, you know, taxpayers are called in and everyone's going to get their money?
Yeah, pretty much so. So the one thing just to explain is 100% they were worried about a contagion. Number two, the reason for the run, if you like, the reason why SVB collapsed was the run. People wanted to get their money out. The word was on the street that something wasn't quite right there. And as we explained before, that was about the fact that interest rates have risen, so the value of bonds inside these banks has collapsed. The same thing would have happened in this Signature Bank. Everybody would have been looking around to go, well, which bank is next? They've actually then come to Signature Bank, and as a result of that, that bank has then had to be taken over by the authorities as well. Now, just to explain, we put together a little bit of a graphic this morning to explain which Australian companies have come to the ASX to show their exposure. And you can see here the largest one is Nitro Software. These are all small companies that you might not necessarily know of. Xero is one name you may know of. That is obviously accounting software, but it says that it's around about 1% of the total amount of cash it has on deposit. But so these companies have all indicated that they are affected by the collapse of SVB, and have all indicated that they would be given up until now only $250,000. Final thing to watch is here's the share price index of the Australian market. It's now looking ahead. It says the market will be up. Remember the last time we spoke, just half an hour ago or so, it was down by 0.5%. So even this move just in the last few minutes has actually calmed things down in terms of expectations on the Australian market today.
Okay, nice one, Ross. Thanks so much for the update. Things are certainly looking better than they were about an hour ago. Thanks so much.